full disciplic succession. I hope you would have noticed it a few times. So where it begins from Lord Krishna himself, and then followed by Brahmaji, Lord Brahma, then Narada, and Narad gave this knowledge to Vyasadeva, and from Vyasadeva it is coming to Madhva. So the same personality who received knowledge directly from Vyasadeva is Mādhavācārya. He is the nominated Acharya for Brahma. That is why our lineage is called Brahma Mādhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. The disciplic section is coming down from Lord Brahma, and the principal Acharya who established the principles is Mādhavācārya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the lineage in this lineage of Mādhavācārya. And it is called Gaudiya. Why? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So it is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And then you see the full disciplic succession below Mādhavācārya. That is Shri Padmanabh Narhari. Then there is Mādhava. So this Mādhava is different. Mādhava is also the name of Lord Krishna. But we are talking about Mādhavācārya. And then further down to Jaya Tirtha, Rajendra, Jaya Dharma, Purushottama. Then coming to Lakshmipati Tirtha, number 19. Lakshmipati Tirtha is the spiritual master of Śrīpāda Mādhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri is the spiritual master of Śrīpāda Advaitacārya. We observed Advaitacārya's appearance just 2 days back, 28. Nityanand Prabhu, next 2 to 3 days will be the appearance of Lord Nityanand. And also of Ishwar Puri, who is the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. And you see number 22 is Lord Chaitanya. So all these exalted personalities, the Lord himself, the three Lord, Prabhu Traye. Who are the Prabhu Traye? Is Advaitacārya, Nityanand Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who is the Supreme Lord himself. They have all accepted the disciplic succession of Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. So very important Acharya. So we will try and discuss about his life, his teachings, his contributions. Very formidable Acharya. We see the Pranam Mantra of Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So he defeated the impersonalism. The most staunch and formidable opponent of the philosophy of Dvait, Advait, is Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. Okay. Kana, you are okay? You start with Mangalacharan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnanajana Chaksharan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sarivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Paritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हरे कृष्ण।
Okay, thank you. So to speak about Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya, I will take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita because Srila Prabhupada has given a very elaborate detail of Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. And as we know, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he took sannyas, and just after taking sannyas, he traveled to South India. So we also covered, but till where did we cover? We covered till Kanyakumari. Not Rameshwaram, sorry. We covered till Rameshwaram. So the Lord traveled further. He went to Kanyakumari, and from there he turned towards the other side. So that description is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 9 of the Madhya Leela. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu travels to the holy place. Madhavācārya sthane aila yaha tattvavadi udupite Krishna dekhi taha hoila Prema Mādhi. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who extensively traveled throughout the South India, and when he came to this very fascinating place, which is known as Udupi. I think Pradeep, you have been to Udupi? Who else has been? Huh? Any one of you who have been to Udupi so far? Pradeep, you told me, I think you have been. Say yes. No, none of you. I was fortunate. I had been to Udupi. Very, very special place. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he reached Udupi. And as soon as he reached Udupi, he had the darshan, he had the audience of a very beautiful deity there. The name of the deity itself is called Udupi Krishna. And as soon as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the audience of this deity form, Taha hoile Premon Mādhi. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became mad in ecstasy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at Udupi. This is the place of Mādhavācārya. This is the headquarters of Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. And his presiding deity is Udupi Krishna, where the philosophers known as Tattvavadi resides. So what is Tattva? Tattva is truth. There are two aspects. One is Tattva and the other is Leela. So Tattva means that which is truth, the absolute truth, the principle. And Leela is the pastime. And there he saw the deity of Lord Krishna and he became mad with ecstasy. So Prabhupada gives the detail about Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya, who is the founder of this Dvaitvad. So before I come to this purport, I'll give you some background first to understanding. That when the age of Dwapar was being, over, and Krishna he concluded his pastimes and he went back to his abode. So that time, the religion, dharma, he had a great threat, a great danger. From where? From adharma, for adharma being prominent. So Srimad Bhagavatam also quotes that Krishna swadham upagate dharma jnana adi bhisaha. That when Krishna, he went back to his abode, swadham upagate. Upagate means he returned back from where he came, from Golok Vrindavan. And along with him, dharma jnana adi bhisabha. So all the virtual aspects, they all became inaccessible or unavailable here in this planet Earth. And kalau nashta drishamesha. So in absence of dharma, what will be there? There will be a dharma. And what the human race will be indulged into destruction. Just one moment. Just one moment. मैं क्लास दे रहा हूँ, बहुत जरूरी बात है तो बोलो, बाद में बात करना. So when this age of Kali was to manifest, so at that time there was a great anxiety in the hearts of all the sages, all the demigods, that what will happen in this age of Kali, which is the most sinful and most abominable age. So all the demigods, they were having an assembly. The sages were having the assembly here, and they performed the sacrifice for 1000 years. And in that sacrifice, what was the result? That they decided to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. These sages were assembled in Naimisharanya. And in the heavenly planets, all the demigods were assembled. And they were so much apprehensive about what will happen in the age of Kali. So who is going to make the dharma, the truth, available in its full potency? So they all went to the court of Lord Brahma and requested him. And along with Lord Brahma, they all went to Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu, he looked at the demigods. And amongst the demigods, there is a powerful personality known as Mukhya Pran. What is the Pran in all of us? Is Vayu. Pran Vayu. So the Supreme Lord directed Vayu and told him that it is now for you to take the third incarnation. The first incarnation of Vayu comes in the Dwapar Yuga. And what is the personality? You're all hearing? Vayudev appears in the form of, in Treta Yuga as Hanuman, in Dwapar as Bhima. And the same Mukhya Pran, he appears as Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya in Kali Yuga. So Hari is Sarvottama. If you go to Udupi, they have this mantra which they chant. Hari Sarvottama Vayu Jivottama. So amongst the Jivas, so amongst all the servants, amongst all the among all the servitors, who is the highest is representation is Hanuman. And who is he? He is Vayu. Vayu Jivottama. So it is said in Padma Puran, I'll see if I can find the verse, that there will be four, it is mentioned in the Padma Puran, that in the Kali Yuga, there will be four bona fide disciplic succession. Why I am saying this? Because tomorrow we have disappearance of Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. Today we have of Mādhavācārya, tomorrow we have of Rāmanujacārya. So it is important to know who is whom. So there will be 4 bona fide disciplic succession. 1 minute, I'll see if I can find the 1 moment. I've quoted from one of the Vaishnava sites. Can you see the font is a little small, but I hope it is visible. So in the Padma Puran, this verse says, Sampradaya vihina astiye mantraste nishphala mataha. So if one is reciting or chanting or he's practicing any mantra, the full merit will not be achieved. Why? If he does not come in the bona fide disciplic succession, which is Sampradaya. So to give the full benefit, atah means therefore, kalo bhavishyanti chatvaru sampradayina. So in the age of Kali, bhavishyanti means the future to come, that will be the Kali Yuga. There will be chatvaru, there will be 4 bona fide disciplic successions. And who are these 4 bona fide disciplic successions? It is Sri Brahma, starts from Lord Brahma. Rudra is Lord Shiva. Sanaka are the 4 Kumaras. Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandar, and Sanat Kumara. Vaishnava, Śrīpāda, Chittivaras. First Shri is Lakshmi Devi, then Brahma, then Rudra, and then the Chatvaras, the 4 Kumaras. Kalo Bhavya Utkale Purushottama. So the 4 divine individuals will appear in the age of Kali to establish the disciplic schools. And the founder of these 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas are Lakshmi or Shri, Brahma, Rudra, Sanaka Rishi, and the Acharyas of this age who will follow their line will appear in the holy city of Purushottam in Orissa. So this is the Pramana. Pramana means the evidence. So who will be these 4 personalities or acharyas for this 4 disciplic succession? That is also mentioned. It says, Pradur Bhuta Kali Yuge Chatvaro Sampradayinika Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Havaya Padme Yatha Smrita Athao Kalo Bhavishyanti Chatvaro Sampradayina Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnava Śrīpāda Pavana Ramanujam Shri Shiva Chakre. So Śrīpāda Ramanuja will be the Acharya who will be selected by Goddess Mother Lakshmi, and Mādhavācārya Chaturmukha. Who is Chaturmukha? Anyone? Anyone knows?
Lord Brahma.
Yes, Lord Brahma. He has 4 heads. So, Lord Brahma's disciplic succession, the Acharya nominated is Mādhavācārya. And Shri Vishnu Swaminam Rudro. And Vishnu Swami is the Acharya nominated for Rudra Sampradaya. And Nimba Datyam Chatushnaha. And Nimbarkacharya or Nimbarkaditya is for the 4 Kumaras. Lakshmi accepted Ramanujacharya as her representative. Brahma selected Mādhavācārya. Shiva chose Vishnu Swami and 4 Kumaras by Nimbarkacharya. This is in Prame Ratnavali, which is given by Śrīpāda Baldev Vidyabhushan. He is quoting from Padma Puran. So all these verses are from these scriptures. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Navadip Mandal Mahatma, he further says that our worshipable predecessor, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, also wrote on this subject in Jayavdhar in response to the question, why is there disciplic succession? He writes, In this world, many people are contaminated by the impersonalist doctrine and thus fall into the life of sin. If there were no disciplic succession or institution of devotees free of this contamination, then it would be very difficult for ordinary person to find saintly association. This is why the Padma Purana tells us that any mantra that does not come in disciplic succession is considered to be fruitless. Very important. Very, very important. So if we do not get initiation and we do not come into the bona fide disciplic succession, so the final result will not be achieved. So this is the Praman, which all our scriptures and all our acharyas are speaking. So anyway, so therefore, the four individuals will appear in the age of Kali to establish disciplic schools. Of these four schools, the oldest is the Brahma Sampradaya, in which ISKCON comes. The disciplic succession has existed since the time of Lord Brahma and is still strong. Whatever scriptures, whether Vedas, Vedanta or other, are taught in a particular school maintain their original form. No interpolations are possible in these texts. Thus, there can be no doubt about the mantras that are found in the books of these ancient schools. Thus, the disciplic succession of saintly person is an absolute necessity for human society, and that is why the institution has existed since the earliest times. Bhaktivinoda Thakur continues his discussion on the subject by asking the question, is the list of name of spiritual master and disciplic succession given without any breaks? His answers from time to time, only the more important spiritual masters' names are included in the list. So this is the understanding, this is the platform that the four Vaishnava Acharyas, they came one after the other. And the final one to come was Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. So one devotee was very interestingly telling, so as Kali Yuga advented, so what happened? How was the entry of the Kali Yuga? Anyone knows how the Kali Yuga entered? Because the Brahmana fell. The Brahmanas fell from their auspicious platform. And how it began? When the young Brahmana Shringi, he cursed Maharaj Parikshit. And from that time, the Brahmanas fell. And the Brahmanas fell, that means the society did not have the right leader to lead them. Brahmanas are considered to be the head, which gives direction. And there was rampant caste system, and the Brahmanas, they were exploiting the others. So everyone lost faith, and they all became faithless. They all degraded themselves. So at that time, and they misused the Vedic literatures. So at that time, Lord Buddha, 2000 BC, Lord Buddha came. He is also one of the incarnations of the Lord, Satyavash incarnation. And what he did, he drove away the Vedas, which were talking about the supremacy of the Brahmanas. And he condemned the violence killing of the innocent animals. But Vedas were gone. Vedas were driven away. And Buddhism became rampant in all parts of India and even into the other areas of the world. We see now Buddhism is more practiced outside India rather than India. And after Lord Buddha came another powerful personality, another Acharya, named Śrīpāda Shankaracharya. So Buddha, Amugleptu was giving a class many years back. So in a very humorous way, he presented this. He said that before Buddha came, the people in general, they were so degraded that they were below the human platform. So they were all minus. So Buddha came and he drove away the Vedas on which they were performing astrology. The fact is there, but he presented in such a way. So he made them came to the platform of Shunyavad. What is Buddha's philosophy? Shunyavad. But Shankaracharya came and he drove Buddha out. So he gave a very powerful philosophy. He did not give of Shunyavad. But what did he say? He said of Advaitvad. One. Buddha said of zero. Everything will become zero. Nirvana. Brahma Nirvana. But Lord Shankara came and gave the oneness. What is the oneness? That the soul and the super soul both are individual, both are eternal, and both are one. So in a way, he brought back the Vedas, which were discarded by the Buddhists. But this is the Jiva was misguided. The impersonalist theory is they do not distinguish between the Jiva and the Ishvara. The Tattva they fail to distinguish are different. So then came the Vaishnava Acharyas. They propounded because Shankaracharya, he preached so vehemently that within the span of few years in the entire country, we still see the roots of impersonalism or Advaitvad, where everyone thinks that there is oneness between the Jiva and the Ishvara, is still so prominent. So the Vaishnava Acharyas came. Nimbarkacharya, Vishnu Swami, Ramanujacharya. So at that time they could not refute fully the Advaitavad of Shankaracharya. So they had their own philosophy of, I'm not remembering fully, but it is Shuddh Advait or Vishisht Advait. But Mādhavācārya was the only Acharya who came and fully uprooted the impersonalism by rejecting Advaitvad and giving the Dvaitvad. This is the famous sign of Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. Mādhavācārya means complete annihilation of the philosophy of impersonalism. So he propounded the philosophy of the Tattva Bheda. There is the Bheda between the Tattva of the Jiva and the Tattva of the Ishvara. So there are 5 Bhedas, 5 Mukhya Bhed, Panch Bhed it is called. So he propounded that philosophy. So we will now gradually go through Srila Prabhupada's purport and understand. Now you please, I think it will make more sense for all of us to be able to appreciate what we will hear about. Mādhavācārya. And Mādhavācārya's headquarters was Udupi. So Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya took his birth near Udupi, which is situated in the South Kannada district of South India, just west of Sayadari. This is the chief city of the South Kannada province and is near the city of Mangalore, which is situated to the south of Udupi. So Udupi is the town, and near Udupi there is a place. Near Udupi city, there is a place called Pāshaka Kshetra. It is called Pāshaka Kshetra. This place was reclaimed by Lord Parshunam. So that is why it is called as Pāshaka Kshetra. Mādhavācārya took his birth in a Shivalli Brahmana dynasty as the son of Madhya Geha Bhatt in the year 1040 Shakabda. You know what is Shakabda? You are going to Mayapur, following in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. Shakabda is Lord Chaitanya's calendar. And how it is different, you just simply add 78 years, it will become like the normal calendar. You see, 1040 and you add 78, it becomes 1118. So according to some historians, he was born in 1118 AD, and according to some, he was born in 1238. 1238 is more authentic. Whatever I have read and heard from devotees, mainly they focus on 1238. So he appears almost 250 years prior to the advent of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya's appearance here is 1486. And his childhood, Mādhavācārya was known as Vasudev. So this is a very pious family. Mother is Madhyageya Bhatta and father is Madhyageya Bhatta and mother is Vedavati. And they are Brahmanas. And this Pājaka Kshetra is little distance from Udupi. A distance of, I don't remember exactly, but it is more than 20 kilometers. So they had two sons before Mādhavācārya or Vasudev was born to them. But both of them did not survive. So they had the aspiration to have a son who could survive. And every day from their place, Pājaka Kshetra, Madhavgeha Bhatta, he used to come by foot to Udupi, and there was Ananteshwar temple. There is still there, the famous Ananteshwar temple. And there is also the Shiva temple of Chandramauleshwara. And he used to come and every day offer prayers. And it is said that for 12 years, both husband and wife, they only survived on milk. So they performed such severe austerities and they prayed very intensely to the Supreme Lord, to Lord Hari, that they be blessed with a child who would be very pure and he would preach the glories of the Supreme Lord and defeat the impersonalism which was widespread. So because they were pure, the Lord blessed them, and Vasudev or Mukhya Pran, Vayu, in his third incarnation in Kali Yuga, he agrees to appear as their son. And they named him Vasudev. In his childhood, Mādhavācārya was known as Vasudev, and there are some wonderful stories surrounding him. It is said that once, when his father had piled up many debts, Mādhavācārya converted tamarind seeds into actual coins to pay them off. So there are many interesting episodes, If Vayu appears, what will Vayu means that such force is the demigod wind, so powerful like Hanuman and Bhim. So in his very childhood, in his infancy, when he was less than 1 year, so one day he was crawling, and while he was crawling, there was a very ferocious cobra which surfaced, which came out. And this baby Vasudev, just with a touch of his feet, he smashed the cobra. He smashed the cobra with such power that the cobra, he was smashed inside the rock. The cobra was smashed completely inside the rock, his fangs. It is said that even now, if you go to Pājaka Kshetra, you can see that rock where the imprint of that cobra is there. Such power, It reminds me of Krishna. What did Krishna do when he was in infancy? Which demon did he kill? With just touch of his feet?
Prabhuji, Shakatasur.
Yes, Shakatasur. And now Prabhupada is giving about the other. And he was very, very mischievous. Vayu, monkey. See, he had such power. Like when Hanuman, he was in his infancy, what did he do? One day he saw the movement of the sun. And he was very much fascinated by the movement of the sun. He said, what a big ball. And he wanted to play with the ball. So what he did, he reached out to the sun and he increased his size and he caught the sun and put it in his mouth. There is that Bala Samay Ravi Bakshaliyo Tab Tinahu Lok Bhayo Andhiyaro. I remember from my childhood, I used to recite every day Hanuman Chalisa and Hanuman Ashtaka. So he was very, very powerful. And not just powerful in terms of physical strength, but also his intelligence was very sharp. So Prabhupada is quoting about one incident where his father, because his father was a poor Brahmin, he had taken some debts. And the person who had given the debt, one day he came to the house and Vasudeva was in his infancy only. And this person who had given the debt, he was having some quarrel with his father. And he said that today I will not leave without having my money back. Either you pay me or you leave from here and give me your house. So his father was very disturbed. So young Vasudeva asked his father that, what is troubling you? And the father said that I have to return a big amount of money to this merchant, to this person. So Vasudeva said, okay, there is nothing to worry. You just leave this to me and I will settle with him. So what he did, Mādhavācārya converted tamarind seeds into actual coins to pay them off. So in his courtyard, there was a tamarind tree. Tamarind tree, you understand, huh? Imli. And in the tamarind tree, in the tamarind fruit, there is so many seeds. So what he told the person to whom this father owned the debt, that he collected some of the tamarind seed and gave him in his hand. And what the person said, that what are you doing this? You are playing with me. You are giving me seeds. And as soon as he opened his fist full of seeds, it converted into gold coins. It reminds me of another Leela of Krishna. Baby Krishna, little Krishna. Which Leela is that?
Prabhuji, turning gopis fruits into gold.
Yes. That fruit vendor lady who came and she was charmed by Krishna's face. And Krishna took away all her fruits. And in return, what he brought? He brought few grains. And the grains, they all converted into gold. So Mādhavācārya converted tamarind seeds into actual coins to pay them off. And because he was the Vayu, he could fly. He would be very far off playing. And as soon as his mother called for him, he would just jump and reach there. And while he was in school, he would never ever be very serious in studying. So one day his teacher caught him and told him that I never see you studying sincerely. You are always creating trouble in the class. So young Vasudeva said that, no, sir, I am always attentive to what you are saying. So if you don't believe me, you may ask any question. And when the teacher inquired from what he had taught, so Vasudeva would not only recite to what all he has been spoken, he would also recite to what all that was not spoken. He knew everything about the subject. He knew everything about the text. he knew everything which was there in the syllabus. So the teacher told him that you stop coming. There is no need for you to come here. Because you are already full in knowledge. Actually, the word Madhva, Madhu means that which is honey, or that which is sweet or nectarine. And Va means Veda, or that is knowledge. So one who is fully saturated with knowledge and is always blissful, such a personality is Mādhavācārya. Further, he was renamed as Purna Pragya. Purna means complete, and Pragya means, as we have studied in Bhagavad Gita, what is Pragya? Is intelligence. So he was very, very extraordinary from his childhood, and because he had so much of strength, when he was 5 years old, he was offered the sacred thread. So his Upanayan Samskar was there so that he could study Vedas, he could study the Shastras. A demon named Maniman lived near his abode in the form of a snake. Okay, I have already told about him. And at the age of 5, Mādhavācārya killed the snake with the toe of his left foot. When his mother was very much disturbed, he would appear before her in one jump. He was a great scholar even in his childhood, and although his father did not agree, he accepted sannyas at the age of 12. So at the age of 5 he started, and at the age of 7, yes, Prabhu. Okay. At the age of 7, he completed the studies. And then he was very much inspired by Achyut Preksha. Achyut Preksha became his spiritual master. So he would study under his guidance. And Achyut Preksha was a sannyasi. So he had the aspiration to take sannyas at the age of 12. What is your age, Kana?
Prabhuji 11.
Almost reaching 12. All study was completed. Upon listening, so he made a condition. His father did not agree for him to take sannyas. Because after a lot of prayers and after a lot of suffering, they received one son. They had already lost 2. So Vasudev assured them that if you have one more son, then you can let me go and take sannyas. If you are blessed with one more son, then you please allow me to go and take sannyas. And it happened. So they were blessed with another son, and then Vasudev, he left home to take sannyas at the age of 12. And why did he take sannyas? We have understood what is sannyasi. Recently, we did so much of in-depth analysis of who is a sannyasi. One who is dedicating his body, his words, and his mind in the service of the Lord. So receiving sannyas from Achyut Preksha. So Achyut Preksha comes from the lineage of this sampradaya, which was impersonalist. But because at that time there were only impersonalist sannyasis, only sannyasis, those who were from the Shankara side, they were allowed to take sannyas, no one else. And he received the name Purna Pragya Tirtha. So Purna Pragya means one who is complete or full in knowledge. And after taking sannyas at the age of 12, he traveled all over the world to preach the Tattvavad of the Panch Bhedas. What are the Panch Bhedas? Bhed, you understand, is the difference, and Pancha is 5. What are the 5 Bhedas? The 5 essential truths. First is the difference between Ishvara and Jiva. First. Second is the difference between Ishvara and Prakriti. Then difference between Prakriti and Jiva. Then difference between Jiva and Jiva. So in this way there are 5 differences, the 5 essential differences which Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya established. And that has become actually, I was deliberating, this is from where Srila Prabhupada brings the 5 essential truths of Bhagavad Gita. And this teaching of Mādhavācārya has been accepted by all our Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas. And if you see in the writings of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, in his writings, in his Prema Ratnavali, and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in Jaividharma, and also in Dashamula Tattva, he expands this core teaching of Sri Mādhavācārya. So this was the most essential aspect which was missing, which was established by, 1 minute, I'll open the file. One second. Anyway, I'm not finding it. I'll proceed by Srila Prabhupada's purport only. So he took sannyas and he very strongly opposed the Advaitavad of Shankaracharya, and he defeated the impersonalist by introducing this truth of the essential difference between Jiva and Ishvara, and how the constitutional position of the Jiva can never be equal to or never can it be changed. Upon receiving sannyas, he received the name. After traveling all over India, he finally discussed scriptures with Vidya Shankara, the exalted leader of Shringari Mutt. So, the Shringari Mutt is one of the famous place of the impersonalism of Shankaracharya. There are 4 mathas in 4 areas, in the 4 respective zones of Shankaracharya, and one of them is the Sringeri Math. Vidyasankar was actually diminished in the presence of Mādhavācārya. Accompanied by Satyatirtha, Mādhavācārya went to Badrika Ashram. And it is there where he met Vyasadeva and explained his comment Bhagavad Gita before him. Thus he became a great scholar by studying before Vyasadeva. So in previous time there was no communication. So the acharyas used to travel by foot. We will see also in Ramanujacharya's case that he extensively traveled all over the India. And he preached the Vaishnava philosophy of difference between Jiva and Ishvara, and how Jiva is subordinate and how the Ishvara is always supreme. So he was traveling extensively and preaching. And wherever there was this philosophy of Mayavad, which was very rampant, very prominent, so there used to be debate. There used to be open challenge based on the Shastric evidence, logic, and rhetoric. And Mādhavācārya used to defeat everyone, anyone and everyone. Like we will see in the case of Nimai Pandit. Lord Chaitanya, when he was exhibiting his Vidya Vilas, he used to defeat everyone by his strong arguments, by his logic, by his reasoning, by his quotation of the various scriptures. So he extensively traveled and he propounded the philosophy of Dvaitvad. And he also met Vyasadeva. He wrote the commentary on Bhagavad Gita. But see, one very important aspect is that whoever he may be, but unless and until it is acknowledged by someone who is bona fide, then the writing has no value. So even Mādhavācārya, when he gave his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, he went to Badri Ashram. And why did he go to Badri Ashram? To have the opportunity to go and meet Srila Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is still there near Badri Ashram. There are 7 personalities who are immortal. They will stay till the end of Kali Yuga. Just imagine what will be their lifespan. Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. And one of them is Vyasadeva. So he traveled to north, and Vyasadeva is not visible. It is not that a common man will try and go to Badri Ashram and he will go and have the opportunity to meet Vyasadeva. Not possible. But Mādhavācārya, because he wanted confirmation to what he has written, it was acknowledged by Vyasadeva himself, who gave Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is mentioning that. That is also one of his great pastimes. By the time he came to the Anand Matha from Badrika Ashram, and when he became such a renowned scholar, such a big leader personality, so when he came back, his spiritual master, what is the name of his spiritual master? From whom did he take initiation? Mādhavācārya?
Vyasadeva ji.
No. He got his writing acknowledged. But from whom did he take? Yes, Dolamani.
Prabhuji, Achyuta Preksha.
Yeah, from Achyuta Preksha. He took both. Diksha also and Sannyasa also. Same time. See, what a powerful personality. Diksha and Sannyas together. For us, there is so much struggle to get Diksha. So when he came back, So Achyut Preksha, he made a new monastery for him and named it Anand Matha and renamed him to Ananda Tirtha. So the name of Madhavācārya is also Purna Pragya. Initiation was Purna Pragya, and then he became Ananda Tirtha when he was nominated the head of Ananda Matha. And he is, of course, Madhavācārya, and his childhood name is Vasudev. So Madhavācārya had finished his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. His companion Satya Tirtha wrote down the entire commentary. It is very, very amazing the disciples which these acharyas have. They are also very great personalities. Satya Tirtha is just like what we will discuss tomorrow about Quresh. You remember when we went to South India? Who was Quresh? Anyone remembers? The great disciple Quresh. No one remembers about Quresh? Those who were there at Srirangam. Monica, you prepared so much of notes. You remember? Quresh had handwritten the entire Bodhayan Vriti when they had gone to Kashmir to get it. And he had such sharp memory when the Bodhayan Vriti was forcibly taken away by Ramanujacharya. He remembered each and every word of the entire manuscript and he represented it in his own script. So similarly, some parallel we see here that Satya Tirtha wrote down the entire commentary. When Madhavācārya returned from Badrik Ashram, he went to Ganjama, which is on the bank of river Godavari. There he met two learned scholars named Shobhana Bhatt and Swami Shastri. Later, these scholars became known in the disciplic succession of Madhavācārya as Padmanabha Tirtha and Narahari Tirtha. So at that time, whoever was the greatest scholars, they were all impersonalist. And wherever he traveled, so that was the convention at that time. What was the convention? The convention was to have debate. And whoever won, the other had to become his disciple. That was the condition. So Madhavācārya, this is how they were, our Vaishnava acharyas were influencing. They used to go and defeat the most reputed or the most highest scholar there. And when that scholar became the disciple, all his followers automatically became the disciple. And these personalities, they contributed very significantly in spreading the doctrine of Dvaitavad. Later, these scholars became known as the disciplic section of Madhavācārya as Padmanabha Tirtha and Narahari Tirtha. When he returned to Udupi, he would sometimes bathe in the ocean. On such an occasion, he composed a prayer in 5 chapters. Once, while sitting beside the sea engrossed in meditation about Lord Sri Krishna, he saw a large boat containing goods, for Dwarka was in danger. So this is another very revolutionary incident which happened. So when he was taking bath, so at that time there was a big boat that was carrying a lot of load. It was going towards Dwarka from South India. And the boat or the ship, it got stuck in the sea. How did it got stuck in the sea? Because it reached the place where the water was shallow. If the water is shallow, then what happens is that the ship or the boat, it gets stuck in the mud and it does not move. So there is in this Vaishnava Parampara, there are many boats He gets stuck. So Prabhupada used the boat to cross over, and he reached through Jaldut to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Also, there was the boat in the case of Srila Sanatana Goswami. The boat was going from Agra and it got stuck in Yamuna near Vrindavan. And it was rescued by Srila Sanatana Goswami. So similarly here, in Mādhavācārya case, so this boat got stuck. And who is Mādhavācārya? He is Vayu. So what he did? Just with the sign of the hand, he had a cloth in his hand. And he just waved that cloth in the hand. And that boat, with such phenomenal, passing of the wind, it was released. And when the boat was released, the owner of the boat, he came down. And he offered Mādhavācārya a big slab which he was carrying. He was actually carrying from Dwarka Gopi Chandan. So the biggest slab of Gopi Chandan that he was carrying, he offered to Mādhavācārya. And that slab was like a big rock. It was like a rock of Gopi Chandan. Let us see, Prabhupada will write about it in the purport. I'll go by that. He saw a large boat containing goods from Dwarka was in danger. He gave some signs by which the boat could approach the shore, and it was saved. The owners of the boat wanted to give him a present, and at that time Mādhavācārya agreed to take some Gopi Chandan. He received a big lump of Gopi Chandan. As it was being brought to him, it broke apart and revealed a large deity of Lord Krishna. So within that Gopi Chandan, that big rock of Gopi Chandan, it was said that it was so heavy and so big that even 30 people could not move it. And so that when it was being brought towards Mādhavācārya, it broke, and from the midst of this rock, there emerged the beautiful deity of Krishna, little child Krishna, Bala Krishna. That is the Udupi Krishna. The deity had a stick in one hand and a lump of food in the other. That is the beautiful form. Krishna, which is enjoying with his cowherd friends. In one hand, he is having the lunch, food, and with the other hand, he is having the stick. Why? Because he is performing Gocharan Leela. When Brahmaji stole all the calves and the cowherd boys, so Krishna was in this process. Krishna was enjoying lunch with his cowherd friends, and he had a stick in his hand for herding the cows. So that beautiful form of Krishna manifested for Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. As soon as Mādhavācārya received the deity of Krishna in this way, he composed a prayer. The deity was so heavy that not even 30 people could lift it. Yet Mādhavācārya personally brought this deity to Udupi. 8 of Mādhavācārya's sannyasa disciples became directors of the 8 monasteries. So that is the system, that is the process which has been set in place by Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya himself. Mādhavācārya personally worshipped this deity of Udupi Krishna, and he selected 8 of his very pure sannyasi disciples to do the worship of this deity. So he created 8 monasteries, and that deity worship is still going on. And when we had gone there, so I did a little bit of research to find out what their process is, and I met them. We were all very inquisitive, very curious to know. Their standard of worship is very high. Like in our deity worship, it is only the Brahman initiated who can worship. But the standard of Mādhavācārya is still very high. It is not just Brahman initiated who can worship. It is only the sannyasis who can worship. Not anyone else is allowed to go and do the deity worship. And these 8 monasteries, they get the turn by rotation. And each tenure is for 2 years. And the principal sannyasi who will be performing the worship, he cannot leave the temple premises for 2 years. He is always offering the worship to the Lord. He is himself offering bhoga to the Lord. He is himself dressing. He is himself decorating. He is himself offering worship. All personal services are carried out by the sannyasi, not just the sannyasi. He is the chief amongst all the sannyasis. So that is the level of dedication and standard of deity worship, which is still today. We could see the difference when we went to Udupi 4 years back. We went in 2018. That highest level of 18 or 19? 19. Manish, you were here at that time when I went to Dwarka.
Yes, Prabhuji.
After that, I had that operation. Yeah, so very high standard of deity worship. And it is personally carried out by the sannyasis. Why? Because the standard was set himself by Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. The duty is still going on in Udupi according to the plans of Mādhavācārya established. Mādhavācārya then for the second time visited Badrik Ashram. While he was passing through Maharashtra, the local king was digging a big lake for public benefit. So because he was the 4th order sannyas, he was like a mendicant, he was like a beggar. So as Mādhavācārya passed through this area with his disciples, he was obliged to help in the excavation. So the king was excavating a big lake. And what they did, whoever passed from that place, they were forced to do some digging, some service. So Mādhavācārya and his disciples were also passing. So the soldiers came and they pushed Mādhavācārya also to do that. But when Mādhavācārya visited the king, he engaged the king in he did that service. But because of his appearance, his effulgence, his persona, the king was very much attracted towards Mādhavācārya. And Mādhavācārya, he inspired the king to himself dig. This is what the leader should do. He should lead from the front. And departed with his disciples. Often in the province of Ganga Pradesh, there were fights between the Hindus and the Muslims. So you can very well understand the time tenure between 1238 onwards, 1100 AD onwards, India was ruled by the Mughals, by the Muslims. So there were always tension and conflicts between Hindus and Muslims. Due to the community tension, no boat was available for crossing the river. The Muslim soldiers were always stopping passengers on the other side. But Mādhavācārya did not care for this soldier. So the governance was done by the Muslims, and mostly the soldiers were also Muslims. And what they used to do, they used to exploit the travelers, the passengers who were mainly Hindus. So they were not allowing any Hindu to cross the river. But Mādhavācārya did not care. It is said that what Mādhavācārya did, because he is Mukhya Pran Vayu, he with this mystical arrangement, he and his disciples, they did not need the boat. They became so light that they could float. They walked over water. and crossed the river. And when they went to the other side, all the Muslim soldiers, they encircled them. And they wanted to harm them by throwing their spears. But their hand did not move. Why? Because the control was in the hand of Vayu. And the Muslim king, when he came to know, it is said it is the cousin of, I don't remember the name, a very cruel Muslim ruler. Most of them are very cruel, who did so much of atrocities towards the non-Muslims. So Mādhavācārya preached to that king. He told him that the Supreme Lord is only one. And everyone else is his servant. And he said that this land which you are claiming to be yours, before you took birth, this land existed. And after you die, the land will still exist. So why you are falsely claiming that this is your land? So in this way, Mādhavācārya, he was so bold and he was so fearless that he could make the Muslim king also become convinced. So the Muslim king was so pleased with him that he wanted to give him a kingdom and some money, but Mādhavācārya refused. While walking on the road, he was attacked by some dacoits. But by his bodily strength, he killed all of them. When his companion Satyatirtha was attacked by a tiger, who is Satyatirtha? What is so significant about Satyatirtha? Only one person heard. Yes, Dipankar?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji Satyatirtha, who wrote the commentary under Mādhavācārya.
Yeah. Which commentary?
Commentary on Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your attention. So Satyatirtha was the one who wrote the commentary. So when they were passing to the forest, so when he was attacked by a tiger, Mādhavācārya separated them by virtue of his great strength. When he met Vyasadeva, he received from him his Shaligram Shilas known as Ashtamurti. After this, he summarized the Mahabharata. So again he went. 2 times he met Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva gave him his Shaligram Shila, known as Ashtamurti. And there is so much of literary contributions by Mādhavācārya. Mādhavācārya has given 37 principal books, and all of them are in Sanskrit. Mādhavācārya's devotion to the Lord and his erudite scholarship became known. It is 9. I'll just finish off in 2-3 minutes. Became known throughout India. Consequently, the owners of the Sringeri Mutt, established by Shankaracharya, became a little perturbed. At that time, the followers of Shankaracharya were afraid of Mādhavācārya's rising power, and they began to tease Mādhavācārya's disciple in many ways. There was even an attempt to prove that the disciplic section of Mādhavācārya was not in line with Vedic principles. A person named Pundarik Puri, a follower of Mayavad philosophy of Shankaracharya, came before Mādhavācārya to discuss the Shastras. It is said that all of Mādhavācārya's books were taken away, but later they were found with the help of King Jayasimha, ruler of Kumla. In discussion, Pundarik Puri was defeated by Mādhavācārya. A great personality named Trivikramacharya, who was the resident of Vishnu Mangala, became Mādhavācārya's disciple, and his son later became Narayanacharya, the composer of Sri Madhava Vijay. So Madhava Vijay is the biography of Srila Mādhavācārya. After the death of Śrīpāda, the younger brother of Narayanacharya took sannyas and later became known as Vishnu Tirtha, another prominent acharya. It was reputed that there was no limit to the bodily strength of Purna Pragya Mādhavācārya. There was a person named Kadanjari who was famed for possessing the strength of 30 men. Mādhavācārya placed the big toe of his foot upon the ground and asked the man to separate it from the ground. But the great strong man could not do so even after great effort. Sri Mādhavācārya passed from this material world at the age of 80 while writing a commentary on the Aitreya Upanishad. So for more information, if you want to go on more details in the life of Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya, one should read Madhva Vijay by Narayanacharya. The Acharyas of the Madhva Sampradaya established Udupi as the chief center, and the monastery there was known as Uttararandhi Matha. A list of different centers of the Mādhavācārya Sampradaya can be found at Udupi. And their Matha commanders are, so there are so many names. These are the 8 Mathas there. I went there and we visited the 8 Mathas also, which is within inside. They have created each Matha inside the Udupi temple. It's a big complex. It is not as big as what we saw in Srinagar, the temple, but quite sizably big. So the big names are given. See, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur has given the full names of the Acharyas, right? Starting from Vishnu Tirtha, till what is not in the contemporary, till the Raghavendra. To date, in the Udupi monastery, there are another 14 Madhva Tirtha sannyasis. As stated, Udupi is situated beside the sea in the South Kannada, about 60 miles north of Bangalore. So Prabhupada is saying from where he has accomplished all this. So in this way, we see a little bit of Mādhavācārya. The greatest contribution of Mādhavācārya is this Bheda. The Bhed between, the difference between, the qualified difference between Jiva and Ishvara. He was the one who established very clearly that the living entity and the Supreme Lord, they are not the one and the same, and they can never be one and the same. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted 2 principles, each from the 4 sampradayas. So from Mādhavācārya Sampradaya, he accepted the principle of complete annihilation of the impersonalism. So the annihilation of the impersonalism was brought about by Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. And second very beautiful aspect is Shiv Murti Seva. Like the way of deity worship which is being established in Udupi to Udupi Krishna by Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya. So in short, I have told, and because of not being fully well, I could not speak in the flow. So to some extent, I have shared that who is Mādhavācārya, very, very revolutionary. From the age of 12, he preached very extensively throughout India. And he established the doctrine of the difference between Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti. So I'll stop here. It is beyond 9. Anyone wants to say something on Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya? Anything you know more? Anything which has inspired you? It's a very important Acharya. Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Samit Pranam. Prabhuji, what are the 5 Vedas? I was unable to listen with that.
Okay, I'll share with you. I'll put that on the WhatsApp.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, it is between the five Vedas are the Tattva Bhed between Jiva and Ishvara, Jiva and Prakriti, between Prakriti and Jiva, between Jiva and Jiva also. And there's one more. So I'll share that. I'll share the write-up of the Panch Bhedas. And most important was that he completely refuted the oneness which was propounded by Shankaracharya, that the living entity and the Supreme Lord are the same. Okay? So thank you very much, Śrīpāda. And today was the day when he disappeared. And how he disappeared was also very mystical. As Prabhupada is saying in his purport, that he was giving his commentary on the Aitreya Upanishad. When he was giving commentary on the Aitreya Upanishad, there was the rain of flowers from the heaven. And when the rain stopped, he would not be found. He had disappeared. So, very formidable Acharya. He completely removed the ignorance of impersonalism. And also he established the very important aspect of deity service, of worship of the Supreme Lord in his deity form. Śrīpāda Mādhavācārya Tirobhav Titi Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai. So we should pray to him, request his mercy. Like he was so bold, so fearless, so powerful, that by his blessings, by his mercy, a drop, if it can enter into our heart, and we can also dedicate our life in service of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Śrīla Mādhavācārya Tirobhav Titi Mahotsav Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. We'll meet tomorrow and we will discuss on the contributions of Śrīla Ramanujacārya. Hare Krishna.